Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, and you're listening to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Today, we're diving deep into an experience many women in midlife find themselves confronting: spiritual poverty. What do I mean by that? It's that hollow feeling, the sense that something essential is missing, or that you're not as connected to your deeper self, your purpose, or maybe even the people around you as you once were. So if you're feeling out of alignment with your authentic self, today's episode is for you. We'll look at some powerful questions to help guide you back to your true self and 3 practical strategies you could start using today to move from feeling spiritually starved to feeling spiritually fulfilled. And before we jump into the questions and strategies, let's get clear on what it means to be in spiritual poverty, a state that can often hit during midlife. So for many women, midlife marks a point of reckoning. You might start to question if you're truly happy, if you're fulfilling your purpose, and if your life has been aligned with what matters most to you. So some common spiritual challenges women face in midlife include a loss of identity. You see, over time, our rules, responsibilities, and relationships, they could shape us, often leading us away from, who we authentically are. And many women, they don't even realize that this is happening or has happened until they outgrow these roles and responsibilities. And the clue that you've lost your identity is when you look in the mirror and you don't quite recognize the woman who's staring back at you. Then there's a disconnection from core values. Whether it's driven by career, family, or society, we might lose touch with what truly lights us up. And the truth is that you've changed who you are more often than you realize, from moment to moment with each decision you make, to month, to year, to decade. You know that you aren't the same woman you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, right? You've outgrown so much. You've learned new lessons. You've developed new habits. You've assumed new roles. Almost nothing is the same as it was, except for what you try to hold on to. And it's likely that your core values have changed too. I know mine have. I once valued safety, but now I value growth. I once valued acceptance from others. Now I value self-acceptance over anything else. I once valued fame and notoriety, ego, right? And now I value legacy. So who you once were is not who you are now. So you got to learn who you are now and get clear on what you value now so that the woman who you see in the mirror is somebody that you actually know from here on out. And lastly, there's an absence of purpose and passion as the last spiritual challenge. And many women struggle with feeling unfulfilled or like, they're just going through the motions, yearning for something that feels purposeful and uniquely theirs. And these are some of the key things that I hear from women in midlife and, with whom I work. And again, what mattered to you 5, 10, 20 years ago has shifted and changed. And now your definition of purpose and passion is also different, right? But how different? So does any of this resonate with y'all? I know when this kind of flowed out at me, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So if so, let's dive into 3 questions and 3 strategies to guide you through this transition. And the first question that comes up is, what parts of myself have I left behind and why? Now, this question is so powerful because it encourages you to reflect on, Whether pieces of yourself like creativity, spontaneity, or even specific dreams were abandoned by you along the way. I want you to ask yourself what led you to leave them behind. This is a really, really deep and powerful question. And, it's connected to the first one because when have you ever actually asked yourself this question? What has led me to leave these parts of me behind? Likely never, right? But as you look at your life, as it always goes, we decide to sacrifice parts of ourselves and our lives to agree to have something we want. For example, maybe you're somebody who wanted the tradition of marriage and family, so you've sacrificed your time, energy, dreams, and goals to become a wife and mother. What else has your agreement and sacrifice cost you now? What led you to leave parts of yourself behind? When you figure that out, consider if it's time to invite them back. And if you do, what parts of yourself will you invite back? The fun part? The adventurous part? The artistic part? The student part? The social part? The athletic part? What parts will you invite back? So go ahead and take time to answer these questions. And after you do that, I want you to really think about this second question. What truly gives me joy, separate from my roles and achievements? You see, so much of midlife involves playing many roles, mother, partner, professional, and so on. But true joy, it often comes from things that exist independently of those roles. Do you know what brings you joy at this stage in your life outside of the roles that you play? Take a moment and go back to a time. This was really cool that this exercise came through. So I just want you to sit with this. Okay? Take a moment and go back to a time when it was just you. And if you've been married for a while, go back to a time before you were married, when you were single. And if you've been divorced for a while, I want you to also go back to a time before you were married, when you were single. And I want you to tap into the most alive version of yourself back then. How old were you? What did you look like? What were you doing on a daily basis? What did you do for fun? What did you do that challenges rules and felt exciting? Kind of got your blood pumping. What lit you up back then? What did you love to do back then that you don't do now? Remember, you did these things because you validated you back then. And that was all you needed to do. You validated you. How did these experiences validate you, though? And with that energy of that version of yourself, as you are in this body now, I'd like you to reflect on what makes your spirit sing now. What would that version of yourself do now to bring back excitement, fun, joy, meaning, without needing validation from others or without judging your own choices? What would bring back excitement, fun, joy, and meaning? So, the third and final question that I want to ask you is, who or what do you need to forgive to feel whole again? This was very powerful. Who or what do you need to forgive to feel whole again? And this might be the most difficult question, but also the most transformative. Often, unresolved guilt, shame, and regret weighs heavily on us, leaving us feeling, incomplete. And over time, I really, and y'all have heard me talk about this before, I really have come to disregard the word heal in most forms, except for a physical injury. The body heals itself, right? It just doesn't fit for me. I use the word complete instead of heal. And in order to get back to our truth, to be in alignment with our truth, is to know that we're already whole. Not that we need to heal to get back to wholeness. We, in this human experience, we go through these things. Our soul is always intact. Our soul is always the highest version of ourselves. It's just in this human form, we've got to learn to get closer and closer to the truth of our soul. So let me have you think of this question. What incomplete emotional experiences do you need to complete in order to feel whole again? Okay? That's a really fucking powerful question, because I guarantee you nobody has ever asked you that. And nobody has really ever explained this concept of completing an incomplete emotional experience. And that's all that really life is about. It's just, okay, I can release these feelings for X or about X because I've learned why. I've learned the reason why, or I've learned the purpose of the experience, right? So this is going to be one of the most powerful questions you could ever ask yourself. How about, what bitterness are you holding on to? What grief are you holding on to? What unforgiveness of self are you holding on to, or of others? What fears are you letting guide your life still? What regrets still haunt you? What mistakes are you still making yourself pay for? What missed opportunities are you still kicking yourself for? Honestly, if you can answer these questions, you're going to be way further along than most women, honest to God. So take the time to answer them, okay? And then you may need to pause this recording to write them down and spend time with them so they can speak to you. That's the beauty of being connected to your intuition, to your inner wisdom, is you can ask your soul the question, your higher self the question, and it will share with you information if you allow it to come through. Whether it's forgiving yourself or somebody else, like I said, think about what forgiveness could do to your spirit. Remember, forgiveness, it's not for anybody else but you. And if you remember that anyone that has come into your life, whether it be family member, friend, colleague, partner, spouse, child, or anybody else, right? They are only the messengers of the lessons you need to learn to become whole in this earthly body, to reunite with your soul. God sends us teachers all the time, and they show up in the form of people. Everybody in your life is teaching you something. Like when you see a baby and you feel that delicious sense of joy because you're connecting to the innocence of it, or from the person who hurt you the most. They're just the representatives of the lesson of the teacher. That's it. So if you're able to see things in that way, then you're not going to be angry at anybody. You may dislike their behavior, but if you're truly on this path, if you truly want to develop and grow, and if you truly want to live in alignment, you're going to see those people who hurt you the most as your teachers. And then you're going to go within and go, okay, what is it that I need to learn from this? Because this came around in my life for a reason. Okay? You don't need to heal. You don't need to you just need to complete the incomplete emotional experiences by learning the lessons and then letting go of the symbol of the lesson, the representative, the person who showed up as the teacher. If you can decide to see them as that, like I said, then you are well on your way to returning to wholeness. Now that we've explored all of these really powerful questions, here are 3 strategies to help you work through these challenges and create meaningful spiritual change in your life. The first strategy is creating a morning anchor ritual. And this is, I love doing this. I mean, one of my rituals is to journal before the day begins. And I tend to type better and get the thoughts out more quickly because I'm typing. I have so much that's going on in my head, so I like to kind of do a brain dump. But I also like to ground myself and meditate too. So how you start your day is everything. And an anchor ritual can be as simple as taking 10 minutes every morning for gratitude journaling, for meditation, or setting a daily intention. And this intentional start can ground you in a way that aligns you with your authentic self And it keeps you connected to it throughout the day, right? Because you've told your brain how you want your day to go. I want my day to be easy. I want to find the best parking spaces. This meeting is going to go unbelievably well. This program I've created is already a success. My partner and I have a great relationship. Whatever it is, right? I can easily and effectively write this report, whatever it is. So just do the brain dump. I do this every morning. I write out all of my thoughts, worries, limiting beliefs, blessings, reframed thoughts, synchronicities, everything that comes to mind. And then I decide how I want my day to go. And you can do that too. You just set the intention and then call on your guides. You don't have to know who they are or what their names are. Just call them and say, okay, guides, I need your help with this intention and to move through the day in flow. Okay. Now, the second strategy is to reconnect with nature. And this is not a goofy woo-woo thing. There is such power in connecting with the energy of nature and the earth, because nature is a powerful healer and it helps us to feel a sense of peace, wonder, and belonging. I want you to make time weekly to step outside, whether it's a walk in the park, a hike, or just sitting in a garden or your garden, right? Pay attention to what's around you and let it remind you of life's rhythms, growth, and renewal. Take time to notice the height of the trees, the sound of the top of the trees swaying with the leaves, sound of the wind, the feeling of grass underneath your bare feet, the heat of the sun, or the cold of the winter wind. Go walk within nature, allowing the trees, plants, shrubbery, and flowers to speak to you, because they do have messages. They are live beings. And this isn't some crazy shit I'm talking about. I often speak to nature because I know there are gnomes in there and there are fairies and all of that. And I believe in all of that. That spiritual, the spiritual truths. Touch a tree trunk, put your hands on it, and close your eyes and feel its pure energy. See the energy of the tree cleansing your energy. Let the energy of the center of the universe travel through your hands, up your arms, and into your body, and back down through your whole body, through your feet, allowing the center of the universe to ground you and cleanse your energy. And then send any, less than happy energy back into Mother Earth for transmutation into love and light. Let the trees, the bushes, the flowers speak to you. And notice the animals that you see. They are often totem animals with messages for you, and you can look them up. You can simply, if you see a turtle or a deer or a cardinal or bluebird or a crow, just go online and type in the spiritual meaning of the crow or the owl or whatever, right? So the third strategy is to engage in soulful creation. And this could mean painting, writing, dancing, or any form of creativity that allows you to express yourself. And creating something just for the joy of it, not for achievement or perfection, can help you rediscover the joy and energy you might have thought you'd lost. So go do something that takes you out of your thinking mind and into your freedom zone, your creative mind. You don't have to be an artist to paint. You don't have to be a musician to play a guitar. You don't have to be a singer to sing. And you don't have to be a dancer to dance. Just do it and allow your body to flow with the energy of the activity. You're going to be surprised at the internal shifts that happen. So, to wrap up today, I want you to know that feeling a sense of spiritual poverty in midlife is actually pretty normal, and it's never too late to reconnect with your inner self. The questions that I shared with you today that I asked you to work on are really to help you identify these missing pieces, and the strategies are going to guide you to rediscovering what fills you up. Remember, the journey to spiritual wealth begins with small intentional steps forward to what makes you feel alive and whole. And we're all striving to experience abundance in every area of our life. But we've got to be a part of creating that. We have got to take the steps, and then the universe will join us and partner with us. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you found these questions and strategies helpful. I hope they will bring you some clarity and courage to face this midlife transition with strength and calm and courage and certainty. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to my podcast and share it with somebody who could benefit from it too. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.